Hey legends, and welcome to our day 3 playthrough of the new Golf Grand Prix format. Congratulations to those that have made it through to day 3. I know the competition has been fierce over the first couple of days, and today is going to be no exception. We're stepping things up a bit here today, so instead of the 3-hole format that was used on day 1 and 2, we're now playing 6 holes, and we're at Whispering Pines today, which typically offers a lot of opportunities to get drops. However, the bag today is going to make it pretty tough. So we're looking at a level 3 Outlaw, a level 3 Hellfire, a level 4 Pegasus, a level 10 Mako, which I've never used, a level 3 Hive, a level 6 Phoenix, and a level 2 Adobe. Now, today, as I said, we've stepped it up to 6 holes, but the rewards have also increased and they're looking really good. So again, we're going to get the Hypnos ball as the premium ball option, and then we're also getting the major trophy balls. So we get 3 of those, 3 diamond bags, platinum bags, sorry. And we also get the pin bag, which should be interesting, which you can see on screen is going to include 3 gold top spin pins for whoever comes first or second in their bracket. And I would say gold top spin pins are probably one of the top 3 pins in the game. They're going to make a lot of par 4s reachable to get you into no adjust hive range on many more occasions. So really valuable pin. Lots to play for today. So as I said, the competition's going to be hot, but Ultimate Golf Caddy has got 6 drops ready to show you, all nice and easy setups, and we're going to go through the whole run through, show you what to do, and hopefully you guys can go out and replicate it. For those non-caddy users, we're going to give you the numbers, and hopefully you guys can also make the drops. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're playing actually the first hole at Whispering Pines as hole 1 of this tournament. And as you can see, even with a level 10 ball, the level 3 Outlaw is not going to make it. So we're going to give you 2 options here. The first one is a fully pinned up option to get you onto the green and give you that really nice high tiebreaker score, which for a lot of you might be important getting into the next round. So all we're doing here is getting as close as we can to the flag stick with a full left spin, because as you can see, we're at absolute max distance there and we're only just getting onto the green. You could probably go a bit further than I've shown in this video, and if you've got plenty of draw fade pins, you might also want to add one of those just to curl you in a bit closer, because that left to right wind is really going to hold you off to the right side. So whatever you can do to get yourself closer to that flag stick and increase your tiebreaker score, it's going to be really, really useful in getting you to the next round. So we're effectively at max here, 2.9 mile an hour wind, which is a 0.9 ring adjust with the Outlaw. So base, little bit less than a third of your wind as your ring pull. We do our adjustment and we're going to go and pull all the way to, that's right, we actually add the draw fade pin here. So you can see that we do get a bit closer. Go ahead and add that. Adds a touch of curl, because the baseline curl's not much. You're not adding too much. We go about 3/4 overpower here, because we don't want to overshoot the cup. Hit the ultimate shot, and you'll see that it comes in nice and close for, I think it was about a 1600 tiebreaker. There we go, 1679. Really nice on that first hole. You don't have much distance on the club, so anything above probably 1500, really good start to your round. All right, so let's go ahead and show you the non-pinned option, which requires us to use the hive. Okay, so this time we're just going to use a regular trophy ball because we're going to get pretty close. Any sort of 4 mile an hour wind or less, we'll have a pretty small adjustment with a level 3 hive. So we're just going to work out what our ring pull is. With 4 mile an hour wind, we're looking at a 1.27 pull. We go ahead and do an adjustment here, and we're just going to blast it right up. Full curl, not that there's much there, but full curl, full overpower. Get as close to the ultimate shot as you can. If you're worried about hitting ultimate, you can start further out on the fairway, so don't hug that rough line as much as I did. But if you're pretty comfortable hitting perfect, then go ahead and do that. So now you can see we've got a pretty decent setup here for the hive. Now, first thing I did was wanted to have a look at the top spin to see if I was in no adjust range, but I wasn't. So I'm going to go and convert that to backspin because I want to reduce the amount of secondary wind effect, given that I've got so much less ball guide than I'm used to with a hive 8. And what I'm going to do is basically just set it up at the cup, and then I'm going to use the hive ruler in Ultimate Golf Caddy. But the really important thing to remember here is that we're only dealing with about 64% shot view on the hive 3. So you can see that I set it up quite a way back. I basically just did a visual measurement to see how much of that ball guide got me close to the 65-ish% mark, which it was probably a fair bit of space there that you can see. So I'm happy with that setup now. I'll go ahead and measure my shot. So after that drive, I'm at 37% distance for the hive 3, and it's telling me I've got a 0.54 adjustment. So remember how short I had it here, just for reference, so you can see how much rollout it gets even with the headwind. So 0.54 rings. I use one of the white rings just to make sure I'm getting the whole 0.54 adjustment. Go ahead and take my shot. This one comes in nice, perfect speed coming in at the cup. So as you can see, you can leave it quite a way short given the fact that you're missing so much ball guide. Okay, so on to hole 2. This one is the first of our specific setups. So there's a few steps that you need to go through for this one. I had a couple of cracks at it and I managed to drop it 3 times. So I'm pretty comfortable that it's a consistent approach. So we're going to go ahead and have a look at this one. You'll be playing with the Pegasus on this hole. In this one, because I had a 4-mile-an-hour wind, I just wanted to cut it down. However, I did make it with a 3.6 and a 3.8 mile per hour wind. So if you're dealing with trophy balls, you're still going to be able to drop it. Now we'll just quickly go back and show you the spin setup to start with. So I am using all but 2 bars of backspin. So that's 6 bars of backspin and 1 right spin for my initial setup. Now, depending on the wind angle you get here, so I've had them between about 30 to 45 degrees tail, right to left. Depending on the wind angle you get, the ring count is going to be slightly different. So with this lighter tail, I'm going to pull 12.1 rings from max. Now, to start with, I actually pulled 12.2 here and then had a quick look at my ball guide and realised I was going to end up a little bit short. So what I do is go and pull back up an extra 0.1. We go and have a look and pretty comfortable with that. Just tick back 1. Okay, now the next important thing, what you need to do is line the tip of the second bounce guide up with pretty much right in the center of the flag. This one's tough to do because you've only got, I think it's about 44% shot guide. So quite a challenge to get this one right, but if you focus the tip that you can visualize in with the thicker part of the guide, you should be able to get it lined up pretty well. Then what you need to do is go and, once you've got it centered, go and add an extra, probably about 0.2 of a bar of right spin. You want it to end up pointing right at the right edge of the cup. So as I said, 12.1 rings with a 3.2 mile an hour adjust gives us a 1.62 pull, which is pretty close to wind divided by 2. So keep that in mind. Now we set up for our 1.6 adjust here. As I've showed you yesterday, start with a 1.5 and then I add about 0.1 of a ring more to give me my 1.6. Pull all the way through to the other side. We go ahead and take our shot here, and you'll see it's a nice little drop to give us a really good look at a hole-in-one. Very tough to do with these clubs, but you'll see it's straight in. A really nice drop, and I've replicated that several times now. So there's that one on hole 2. Okay, so we're on to hole 3 here, and this is the second of our very specific setups. So make sure you pay attention here because there's a couple of things that you need to focus on. We've got the first of our par 5s, and what we're actually going to do is we want to lay up to Pegasus range, so we're going to use the Hellfire. What I'm doing is pretty much just lining my ball guide up on my landing spot in the middle of the fairway, 1 bar of right spin and almost a bar of top spin, but not quite. So in a 3.5 mile an hour tail, I'm going to get a 1.9 ring adjust, which is a little bit more than half the wind. So we go ahead and make our adjustment here. Now pay attention to the drive because you want to be within about 3 or 4 yards of this distance to make sure that you've got the same setup when looking at the rings to the pin from your landing position. So we come in here with a 248 mile an hour drive. Now I made that with a 250 and a 246, so you can be within a couple of yards. Now, as I said, we're in Pegasus range here. We're going to use full backspin and about 3/4 of a bar of right spin. I think on this one I end up about, I think it was 5.2 or 5.4 rings from max when I do my count. But the important thing to note is that I end up about 1.8 to 1.85 rings from landing to pin. So you can see there that I've got about 1.8, let's just go back a little bit. So 1.8-ish, maybe 1.7 rings from landing to the pin. Now, there's again a couple of different wind angles that you might get here. One that is a straighter tail and one that's a bit more of an angular tail. For the angular one, this is the right setup. The one that has more of a straight tail, you probably want to go back another tick. But make sure you take account of your ring count from max so that you can plug those numbers into the caddy. And the next thing that we're going to go and do, after we've made sure that we're in the right position here, so yeah, I did end up about 1.75 landing to pin. We go ahead and just set it up right at the flag. So you can see here, even with that very, very ordinary ball guide on the Pegasus 4, I can line it up pretty close to the cup. And we go ahead and set up our shot here. So we've got a 3.6 mile an hour wind, and we ended up 5.4 rings from max. Let's see, 5.6 with a 3.6 mile an hour wind. So that's about a wind divided by 1.8. So pretty much a 2-ring pull. That just means the whole center circle. Nice easy adjust there. And watch this one come in, really nice speed. Now one thing, if you get a wind over probably 4 miles an hour on your drive, that means you're probably going to replicate that on your approach. And look at that, nice straight roll, straight into the cup. So if you get a wind that's about 4 miles an hour on your drive, as I said, it's going to be close on your approach. So you might want to put on a ball that's got a little bit more wind resistance. Something like a major trophy ball or one of your premium balls. I would definitely recommend that. But you'll still be able to use the same setup. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and have a look at the next drop. Okay, so hole 4 is one of the shorter par 4s, which we're going to have a really good shot at making the eagle here. However, there is a lot of danger here with the trees that sit in front of your shot here. Because we're on a shorter distance, the actual upslope in your arc really catches those front trees. So what you need to do is go ahead and find a position for your adjustment to start and finish where you completely avoid the trees altogether. So what I did to start here was to figure out what my ring pull was going to be at max. So I've got a less than a half a ring pull here, and I'm basically just sweeping around until I find a spot that gives me a nice look. So see how the ball guide disappears a little bit there? That means I'm hitting a tree. So a little bit of a concern there. Obviously, we don't want to be playing with that at all. So you want to find a spot between the trees that is really safe. So what I did here was to use a wind ball, so a wind reduction pin, and a high wind resistance ball. And because the Outlaw's got very low backspin, I also used a gold backspin pin. You can probably make it plenty fine with a lower quality pin, something like a white backspin pin, but I wanted to have an actual real decent look at getting this shot, so I went ahead and boosted all my stats. So I'm just going to skip ahead to, it took me a while to find the right spot. So, okay, let's go from about here. So what I'm doing, as I said, I'm using that half ring adjustment just to make sure I'm finding a spot that is not going to hit any of those trees, any spot through my pull. So most of what I just swept through here was fine. So I'm just going to flick back to the left until I just get to the first spot where the guide shows, because I'm pretty comfortable that the rest of my pull, when I pull for my adjustment, is going to miss those trees. And then as long as I hit perfect, I'm pretty comfortable that no matter what the wind effect is going to end up doing at any point throughout my shot arc, I'm going to miss all of those trees. So I go ahead here. As you can see, I've got it set up with a little bit of an extra right spin, and I took off a couple of ticks of backspin as well. I go and do my adjustment, and as you can see, pretty stable ball guide. I'm happy with that. So you'll see this one comes in real close. My heart was in my mouth. I thought I was going to drop this one, but I didn't quite go there. As you can see, look at this, comes in so close. So what I would do, I'd probably set up the shot exactly the same way again, but just take off a little bit of right spin and take off a little bit more backspin. But really high tiebreaker for the eagle. Nice, easy hole out, and we can move on to dropping the next one. Okay, so we're on to hole 5 now, and by this stage in my round, I was 4 from 4 drops. So Obviously, I was nervous. I wanted to make sure I had a good chance of getting the perfect round. So I pinned up again. Here I'm using a gold ball power pin and a gold club pin. And as you can see, we've got a really, really good shot at the green here. Probably not quite enough, unless you use a top spin pin. Probably not quite enough to get the shot at actually dropping this one, but you'll get yourself a really nice high tiebreaker for the eagle. So I'm just looking for the spot on the fringe where it starts to kick back on itself, because I want to get nice and close to that flag. And you'll see that I'm about half a ring, I think, from max here, maybe a little bit more. With a 2.4 wind, that's not going to give us much adjust with the outlaw. So 3/4 of a ring. Go ahead and make this adjustment. You probably still make the green without these pins. As I said, I was just nervous. I wanted to make sure I gave myself a chance coming into the last hole to actually finish it up with 6 drops, almost 7 with that last hole. So hit the ultimate shot. As you can see, comes in onto the green, nice and close for an easy putt for the eagle. 16.04 tiebreaker. Happy days. We're in really good position now to go ahead and make the 6th drop on the last hole. Okay, so we're on to the last hole here. We're 5 from 5. We're not going to muck around. I just want to get this up nice and close and give myself a chance to drop this with the hive. I know I'm not going to be in no adjust range, but I'm a lot more confident taking a hive drop on these greens than I would be with something like a Pegasus, where you really just don't have that ball guide to play with. So we've still got the pins loaded from our last hole. I just quickly make sure I'm at max distance here, just to make sure I give myself the absolute furthest distance. We're now at max. We go ahead and hit the drive. As you can see, we get up nice and close. So definitely still outside no adjust range, but I think it's within 50% of the hive range with the backspin applied. Now, again, like on hole 1, be really careful with the ball guide here. You've only got 60%, so even though you're probably used to setting it up right up to the cup, and it feels very awkward leaving it short the way we need to, you'll see we've got a little bit of a headwind here, and I'm still going to leave it really short, and this one comes in pretty hot, but still a nice shot coming in at the green here. So I set it up, I line it up straight in line with the flag, do a last check to make sure that I'm at that roughly 65% distance with the amount of ball guide that I can see, because that then tells me the rest of my ball guide will get me to the cup. So I'm happy with that. One last check to make sure I'm in line, and we're happy with that, so I can go ahead now, go and do my measurement. I think I might have given this one more look. I just wanted to make sure I got this one. Normally I wouldn't go through this much effort for a hive drop, but obviously when you're playing the last hole to get that drop, there's a bit more pressure. Alright, so we're happy now. Finally, we're happy. 2.5 mile an hour wind with our hive 3 at, what's the distance here? I think it's about 50%, maybe a bit less, 30%. Making sure it's right on the money here, getting everything right. So yeah, a bit under 30%. So a 0.9 adjust, so a 0.1 ring of an adjustment. Sounds like not much, but the rings on the Hive level 3 are a bit bigger, so it's still, I think, a 2-tick adjust here, whereas that wouldn't even be an adjust on the Hive level 8. Yep, so two ticks of adjustment. We go ahead and take our shot. Heart's in my mouth by this point in time, and in it comes, bang into the flag, into the cup. We are 6 from 6. So there you go, guys. Really good playthrough to get you 6 really good looks at 6 drops. Remember on hole 2 and 3 to follow the guides that I gave you. So they're very specific shots. Because you've got a very consistent wind angle, you guys will also get a really good look at it. But go ahead and use the guides, and obviously as you can see, the wedge ruler and the numbers in Caddy are absolutely spot on for all of the clubs you're playing with today. So go out there, have some fun, kick butt in your bracket, and hopefully we'll see you on day 4. Thanks, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have, go ahead and subscribe so you get the notifications for these. I'll be doing them regularly, and I'd really like your support. So thanks again. Good luck today, guys. Cheers.